Thanks for coming tonight. My name's Ed Easley. Until recently, I was a pharmacy manager at a hospital. I've retired from that. Maybe we'll come back and talk about drugs some other time. I'll have more time for doing this kind of stuff now. But tonight I'm here as the Vice President of the French Creek Recreational Rails to Trails Group. And we operate the Ernst Trail in town here that's just about a half mile down the road. Today, talk a little bit about the history of the trail, how it came to be, what activities are done on the trail, and a little bit of the scenery and wildlife that's available. Okay, first, the early days. This goes back a little too early. Thank goodness we don't see that kind of wildlife on the trail anymore. Their arms are a little too short to reach the bicycle handlebars anyway. But I will say a little more recent times than that. There's a lot of evidence of Indian activity right where the trail goes, right along French Creek there. And whenever we do any earth moving or construction, we have to have an archaeological team come and make sure there's no artifacts there. But the real beginning of the trail came with the railroad, and that was in 1880. A group of people from Meadville got together and decided to make a railway from Meadville to Linesville. And that didn't work out too well. They left it go. Then Bessemer and Lake Erie took it over. They used it for a while, but then in the 70s they abandoned it too. So at that time, the community would have had a chance to take over that whole rail line, but people weren't thinking along those lines in those days. They let it go, and it all reverted back to the owners. But one thing that was a real impetus to this group was Calvin Ernst had a big chunk of that, and he was very supportive of the trail from the start. So with that, our group came into existence in the 1990s and started to work on rebuilding the trail. In the past, it was pretty overgrown. As you can see from some of these pictures, it had like an old slag gravel base. It was rideable. I remember when I first came to Meadville in 1978, I started to bicycle a little bit, and some friends took me on that. So it was passable. There were a lot of gullies. There's several little creeks that run down that hillside. You'd have to put your bike on your shoulder and walk across that. But it was there, pretty intact. You could use it. And that's kind of how we started out. We just cleaned that up, cleaned the trail up as best we could, and started to use it. And even in the winter, I'll talk about that a little bit more, but we are emphasizing some of the things you could do in the winter time on the trail. And cross-country skiing is always available. Okay, talk a little bit about getting to work on this. Here's one of our volunteers who cleaning up sticks on the trail. But I do want to talk about them a little bit. A lot of the work on the trail is done by volunteer effort, even building the bridges and some substantial stuff like that. Most of the routine maintenance, cleaning up, cutting branches, things like that is done by volunteers, especially the core group and the French Creek Rails group. We've also had a ton of help from all sorts of folks in the community. The Boy Scouts help us, church groups. We have an Adopt the Trail policy now that we have several folks who've adopted portions of the trail to do the cleanup. So welcome that and really appreciate all the help folks have done for us. A few shots of past work we've done. There's a bridge that we built, and to get past all those gullies, we now have 6 bridges on the trail that were all built by volunteers. Even the big one, even the covered bridge that we'll have some pictures of later, mostly done by volunteer work. When we have big earth moving projects, obviously we have to get professional help, and for that usually we'll try to obtain a grant. DCNR or one of those groups have been helpful for us in the past to get a grant. And that's how we paved it, and that's how we did an extension of the trail. Also, just various donors. This is Keith Mink. He was an educator in town for a long time and a real force in working on the trail. He was president for many years. He's since moved away, but we're very appreciative of him. Some scenes of the overlook, and that's about 1.5 miles down the trail, overlooks French Creek, and you can see some of the folks that helped then. This has been a while, it's probably been 20 years, but that is still standing, and it's a nice project, a nice place to stop. The covered bridge, we had to get some machinery in there to move the earth, but you can kind of see it during the construction phase. And that has kind of been our signature piece. We put it on our logos and stuff. We're very proud of that. It's a nice old style design. And it's not far. It's maybe only 1/2 mile from the Beans trailhead. If folks want to walk down there just to see that. It overlooks a small creek there. This was the ribbon cutting, and that was completed in 1999. And you can see on the left with his hand in a cast is Tom McNally, who's another very strong proponent, one of the major movers to completing the whole section of the Ernst Trail. Tom has since passed away. We miss him. He was a great guy and a big help. There's a memorial stone right to the left of where they're standing for Tom, and a little bench to remember him by. Then came the paving project. So we have a few shots of what it was like. That was seen to be kind of the next thing we wanted to do was get it paved. So that was a big project. It didn't take real long when actually they got going on it, and it's held up very well. It's been close to 15, 20 years now. But we're constantly working on it, trying to seal it up. Roots grow up and bubble it up and stuff, and we're trying to take care of that. But it stayed in good shape. This is just another map, and if you have any of the brochures, they have a map that includes some of the additions that we have and what we're working on. But it kind of shows the path of the trail that goes southward first, and then it starts to go east to west. And you'll see it comes very close to French Creek in a spot down the trail. And that shows a couple of the trailheads that are in place. So at this point, we have 4 trailheads. The one you just were looking at included the 322 at Beans, who also is very, very nice to us. He just lets us park there, and that's one of the bigger parking lots. There's a lot of cars that can go in there. Mercer Pike also has a pretty good sized parking lot. The newer ones are somewhat smaller. The one at Servones is on Crider Road, and then our latest one is on Bailey Road. And that portion of the trail was not paved. We ran out of money, so it's still gravel. That's in our future plans, hopefully, to finish that one. But it's still a nice trail to walk on. If you have a mountain bike, it's doable with a mountain bike. Just a few of the trail scenes here. We really like to highlight and recognize the beauty of the area that we're in, and a couple open meadows, a lot of woodlands that are nice because they're cool in the summertime. Notice we have mile markers on it at every mile if you want to see how far you've gone, and when we have races, the people want to know how fast they're going. In the lower right-hand corner, you can see a bat house that there's a number of those that we try to encourage bats to have a place to go and stay around the trail to keep the bugs down. This is just a scene right beyond the covered bridge. Kind of a nice open field there. Occasionally, a few times, the last 5 years or so, I've seen a few times that is totally covered in water when French Creek backs up. And it looks amazing. It looks like a big lake. Doesn't last too long though, and typically it looks like this. Calvin Ernst usually has some different crops growing in there. We're always trying to figure out what he's growing this year. But kind of a big open vista. This is a picture of a kind of a pond, swampy area that's near the Bailey Trailhead. Just included because The trail is a little bit unique there just because of easements and right-of-ways. If you go that way, you'll take a big loop all the way around that pond and see a lot of things. Okay, just wanted to talk about the wildlife you see on the trail. On that left picture is just some ducklings that were all perched on a log. And when you first enter the beans side, you'll see a lot of water on the right. It's wetlands. Usually it's covered over, and most times in the summer on those there's logs that are exposed. You'll see a lot of turtles. It's interesting to see, and also some people reported seeing real big turtles there. So I guess stay away if they're snappers. Stay away from them. But they're interesting to see. And for a long time, a beaver took up residence there, and we debated whether to try to do anything about it. But then we heard comments back of people, looking for it and appreciating it, and it seemed to contribute. So we never bothered it, but it seemed like it has gone away. We don't see much of it anymore. But for a time, it was chewing trees down about one a day. But that was another thing we wanted to let go. And did want to talk a little bit about all the other wildlife we've seen there. Deer, of course, you'll see them all the time. Squirrels running around. There's a bear. I've seen it that appears once in a while. I saw it near Mercer Pike, wandering around. He seems harmless. A few other people have commented on seeing him there, and I haven't seen him this year, but he's probably around. A lot of different birds. I've run into bird watching people who go there with the binoculars and look for them. I don't know much about them, but there's a big wide variety, and I think an eagle spotted once in a while there, especially over towards Conneaut Lake. In fact, there was some nesting there for a while near the Conneaut Lake side. All kinds of beautiful wildflowers. Once again, I don't know them myself. Lilies and all sorts of other attractive wildflowers. I don't know if they were planted there or just grew there, but there's a big variety of them. Tiger lily and Queen Anne's lace. I've been told there's another plant that looks like Queen Anne's that's yellow, and it can be irritating if you touch it. And I saw a few of those. It might be almost like poison ivy. So I warn everybody, don't pick those ones. Okay. A couple of other animals. There's reports about once every 10 years that somebody's seeing a mountain lion there, and some of those people were sober at the time, but I don't know. Yeah. That's never been shown. It seems unlikely, but anything's possible, I guess. But it seems you hear something like that, it goes away for a long time, and then somebody else says they saw them. A few of the less agreeable wildlife, you'll see snakes on the trail. Sometimes they're typically harmless garter snakes, and they slither away. Unfortunately, mosquitoes are a little bit of a problem there because everything is so wet. So anybody going there should take care to put on a lot of mosquito repellent. Usually be okay for that. Or if you're on the bike, just keep moving. They don't catch up to you. I don't see skunks. I haven't seen any. You see a raccoon once in a while there. I think the general warning, if anybody sees those in the daytime, don't go near them. But that doesn't seem very frequent on that trail. Okay, a few shots of the covered bridge again. That is kind of our showpiece that we hope attracts folks to the trail. Okay, just showing a few of the structures that have been built. Many of them are memorials or gifts. So we have several shelters for picnicking. You see there the Kiwanis Pavilion is very close to the Mercer Pike on the east side. The Rotary Pavilion is on Crider Road, a good place to have a picnic. And also, there's a gazebo at Mercer Pike. And there's a number of those, either gazebos, and we've also put up some rain shelters in different locations if you get trapped in a downpour. They're smaller, like the size of a telephone booth, but we tried to account for that, that they would be available if that happened. If you need it, there's porta potties at the Beans Trailhead. There's one at the Mercer Pike, and we just put another one up at Bailey, the Bailey Trailhead on Bailey Road. Okay, that is the Lions Club donated the materials to make the picnic area at Bailey Road, and we appreciate that. A few others. The Bob Stein family created a memorial, and there's a gazebo there. That's a little bit beyond the 1.5-mile marker from the Beans entrance. And there's Tom McNally's memorial stone and a bench there. I know my dog always likes to stop there and go down into the creek. She knows that. And some of the people doing various races have started to do like touch the rock on the way, and it's starting to become a tradition. Also through work and donations, we put up some dogwoods and other trees along the front portion of the trail. We have our work shed that's right there at Beans, where we put our digging equipment and weed eaters and things like that. There's a number of benches all over the trail, and each of them have a plaque that designates who donated them and who worked on them. Many of those were Boy Scout projects, Eagle Scouts, that sort of thing. Some pictures of this project. So we had built that bridge already, and it started to fill in with dirt, and if we try to move the dirt, it would just fill back in again. So eventually we had to raise it, and we put it up about 1 foot, and we did get some grant money to do that. That ended up being probably a bigger project than building it to start with. It was pretty amazing. I do want to mention back at the covered bridge, if you go across it, we have some plaques of various people. You could buy one in memorial, and there's 100 or so plaques of different people who made donations in memory or in honor of a loved one or something. Okay, thought I'd talk a little bit about the rules of the trail. Just for everybody's information, it's dawn to dusk. Pedestrians have the right of way. We don't allow motor vehicles there unless there's a need for work to go on or there'd be an emergency. And we did have to discuss things like the segways, whether we would allow those or not, and finally concluded that we thought they went a little too fast and they're a little too hazardous. So basically we prohibit all motorized vehicle unless it's a handicap need, and that's exempt, obviously. No alcoholic beverage, no littering or graffiti, which we're pretty lucky on the trail. We haven't seen that very often. A few times kids will fool around and do stuff, but very minimal, and not a lot of cleanup needed. Dogs must be under the owner's control. That's what I have to pay attention to that, because I go there a lot with my dog, and they're welcome. Dogs are welcome to come. Just have to make sure they don't run into somebody or cause an accident. And it is necessary to have them on a leash. We had one person come by. The dog was on a leash, but she wasn't holding the leash. She just left it running. She said that doesn't count. There are some doggy bags and a weigh station available at the Beans entrance and at the Mercer Pike. So we provide that. Greener Pastures helps us out with that, and they maintain it. So we just ask, people pick up after their dogs. We had to say no horseback riding allowed. That was thought to be unsafe. One other thing, not mentioned in the rules, but if you're on the trail on a bicycle, it's helpful to say something when you're approaching people who are walking. They can't hear you sometimes. Usually we'll yell a phrase, on your left or something like that. Or a lot of people have little bells to ring, but it's very good to alert people that you're coming on a bicycle. We have established a speed limit of 15 miles an hour that some of the guys in the biking group have a little trouble holding to that. But yeah, a lot of the real serious riders are on the roads more often than the trail, but oftentimes we'll get on the trail too. So just a rule not to go too fast. We do ask that everyone wear a safety helmet. It's good to have a friend along in case something happens to you, and it's also good to kind of keep track of where you are if you would have to call for help. What trailhead did you start from, and about how far you're in, just so we know where everybody is. Yeah, the general rule: keep to the right, and yeah, watch wearing headphones. I've seen more and more people. A lot of people in the races have headphones now. I think they're okay if you keep the volume down enough that you can still hear outside. But I haven't seen anybody texting during the race, though. That's probably be next. And also, do mention during hunting season to wear bright clothing, preferably orange. There are some hunters in the area, and it's prohibited for them to have a loaded gun or be near the trail with a gun, but they're somewhat in the neighborhood sometimes. Okay. I want to talk a little bit about the activities. Yeah. Oh, I guess I don't have any trouble. I think I have AT&T. It seems to be good. Yeah, I think it's similar to being in town here. I haven't heard of any problem with it. So the activity is obviously bicycling. It's a bicycle trail. A lot of folks running on the trail, and we do have a couple of races every year to benefit the trail. The one we just had last weekend was the Tom McNally Memorial Race, where we do a 5K and a 15K. One of the few 15Ks that are available in the county. And other groups too, if they're interested, they can go to the website and ask for permission to have a race or have some sort of special event. A small fee for that, but we welcome it. Walking, a lot of folks walking, maybe more than run, and it's pleasing to see so many kids or families will get their kids out on the trail, and even in strollers and things like that. Rollerblading on the paved surface, that's a good place for that. It's nice and level. And another thing you can do, cross-country skiing in the winter. I do that quite a bit, and it's nice, especially for beginners. It's a good place to learn how to cross-country ski because there aren't a lot of curves and big drops or logs or anything rolling over, and it's close to town. You can get to it. The folks at Beans have been real good about plowing out the parking lot there. So most of the time you'll see that that's passable. You can get in there. And we just tried a new idea this year where we only plowed half of the trail. So we marked it with a sign. The right-hand side is for cross-country skiing, and the left-hand side is for walking. And that worked real well. So we didn't get that much snow this year, so we're anxious to get a better season to try that out. But it's nice because if people are in the same place doing it, then the tracks are messed up, and then if it freezes, it's lumpy and stuff. So everyone's been real cooperative with that, and I think we'll keep doing it that way. It's a great idea. And you know, just walking in the wintertime, it's a good way. You see a lot of different things then, and some, you know, a way to get out of the house. And dog walking, I mentioned, you know, we welcome that and see a lot of folks doing that. Okay, talking a little bit about the future. So this is a picture of a bridge we just built this year. And this is a portion of the trail that's going from the Beans entrance back to town as our ultimate goal. So if you go there now, you'll see it. It's a gravel trail right to the left we've been working on. It crosses over some creeks and wetlands too. So we need 3 bridges altogether. So we've built, 2 of them are done. The trail's not really open at this time. It's okay to walk back there. You'll come to a sign eventually that will stop you. But when the 3rd bridge is done, the trail will go approximately to the mall. And from there, the plan is it'll go behind Ainsworth property. And they've been real supportive as well. They want to see it happen. We have to be a little careful in that area, not to disturb. We're planning to put a fence up to isolate the trail from the rest of the Ainsworth property. From there on into like Cora Gable Clark or Mary Gable Park over in the 5th Ward, and from that point it's a little iffy. We have a couple ideas where we'll go from there. Our plan is to get to the Bicentennial Park eventually. So as we get closer to town, it's getting a little tougher to find a way to do that. But we do have a lot of ideas in the works, and we're planning to do that. Once again, money was a little bit of an issue, so we did not pave it. We had to decide whether to try to wait until we could pave the whole thing or go ahead and build something now. So we decided to build it now, and we can pave later when we get some more money. We're hoping that adds a lot more interest, and we know the college has shown interest in it now. They have an interest in you know, bikeways and river walks in the community. It's a natural fit that they will partner with us and create this, and I think we'll see it happen before too long. This is the 2nd bridge that's already done. Okay, that's the 3rd one. Unless you're Evel Knievel, you can't go on that. It's the biggest, longest one. It'll be a little bit more narrow because of the length. But we're planning, actually this weekend, we're going to have a work group go tackle that and put the decking on, which is you know, large 2x6 or 2x8 boards nailed edge to edge going across the creek. So from that point, when you get to the other side there and go left, you'll be along French Creek, very close, and it's very, very nice scenery there. And that eventually goes like under the Smock Highway Bridge near the mall. So from that point, we jog over and go towards Ainsworth. So still in the works for that. Great. I didn't talk too much about our extension, but that project was done a couple years ago. What we call the extension, it's from the end of the paved road near Kreider going west. So when you get near the end, you'll see a sign that says Bailey Trail, and that's the gravel road. You follow that to Semerod, and then you do have to cross 19. We tried to avoid that, but we couldn't. And it goes through a trailer park there, which we're hoping for a different avenue than that, but that was our best alternative. So at that point, when it passes the trailer park, it starts to go west again, and it's back on the original railway line. So at this point, that winds up at Bailey, and that's as far west as we've gone. we have heard some folks from Conneaut Lake are interested in working from their end too. The trail eventually comes out by the winery at Conneaut Lake. You can see the trail on that end. So somehow try to work. If you get this far and want to try to keep going. Okay. Just including some contact information on our website, www.ernsttrail.org. Dick Eglinton is the president. I'm the vice president, and Marcy Fenton's the treasurer. We do have meetings the second Tuesday of every month at 7 p.m. at the Meadville Community Health Building on Terrace Street. It's in the John Wallach room, who, by coincidence, he was also a tremendous supporter of the trail, and he's a past president for several years. He moved away, but he maintains interest and keeps in touch with us. So at that time, we talk about what we're doing, welcome input from the public, see what people are interested in seeing us do, and maintaining interest. Okay, that wraps it up. Have we got some questions? Or?
Yeah, if you started at Dean's Auto and went clear up, how far is that?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. So it's 5 miles paved. So from Beans to Kreider is 5 miles. Then the extension is an additional 2 miles. So when we do the connector to Meadville, we'll add a couple more miles. So we're getting close to 10 miles already. And if we finally get to Conneaut Lake, we'll be closer to 15.
How well is it received in the trailer park? People biking past their homes, walking past their homes?
Yeah, they don't complain about it. I think they don't mind too much, and yeah, it's not really that bad of a thing. The road's good, and there's kids running around and stuff, of course, but I think they use it. They're happy to have it there. So yeah, no, it's been well received.
So I'm intrigued, there really wouldn't have been a way of us to cross Lake Tennessee, right? Like you had to cross Lake.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we floated some ideas of a bridge over that, which would have been tremendously expensive. It was said that there at one time when the train was there was a tunnel under 19, and it's there, but it's covered in, filled in, and it would be impossible to try to excavate it again. That was maybe something if we could have jumped on it back in the 70s, we could have maintained that. I was just at the Allegheny Passage Trails out near Somerset, and you go through several tunnels there, and it's kind of neat. You have to be careful though. You have to have headlights because you can see right through it, but you get halfway in, you can't see because all you see is the light ahead of you, and you can't see where you are in the road. But we don't really have plans for tunnels. They're a nice feature. I almost wish we did have one after seeing them.
So that's why you said you're sort of trying to work and you went through the trailer park. So like, well, how did you lose the railroad? But I guess
Yeah,
that tunnel, then I guess.
Yeah, that was the biggest part, and honestly, some of the landowners didn't want us to go through there, and I appreciate that. That's kind of a personal decision. If they sign the easement, they're giving up the right to that. That's fine. We sure do. A surprising number do say that's okay. In fact, at one meeting, someone said, "How would you like it if a trail went right past your house?" I said, "I would like it, but I'm different." I don't
I grew up beside an old railroad line, so everybody walked it. So it was nice.
Yeah, it's the best.
See everybody walking it. And it went into the deep woods.
Yeah, that's the straightest way between 2 points around here, I think. Yeah.
Just from a fundraising perspective, how much does it cost to pave a mile?
Oh, that's a good question. I wasn't on hand for the paving part of it. I know just the extension that we did was about $600,000 for a few miles, just to clear it, level it, and everything. But yeah, that's a good point, and maybe something we could put on our website just to promote this. To pave this. This is what it would cost. I know it fluctuates with all sorts of price of oil and everything else. Yeah, I can't give you a figure.
Don't appreciate how much it costs, and so why don't we
Yeah.
just pave it? Like, but it's a
Yeah.
tremendous amount of money. that
Yeah,
has
it
to
sure
be
is.
raised.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And everything is. It's surprising how much money it costs, to do anything. Even that raising the bridge was pretty expensive proposition. So that's why we like to. We try to do what we can with volunteer work, and it's one thing I would invite everybody to. You'll see it on Facebook when we're having a work day. We'll welcome anybody to come, and help out. Sometimes we're building things. Sometimes we're just maintaining the trail.
Well, I appreciate all the work that you and the committee have done, and it's truly a community asset. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, thanks. I know I enjoy it. That's how I got started in it. I used it all the time and still do. Yeah.
Do you suppose the mountain lion sightings were that loud who was driving the stick out?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, really. I know my dog's such a scaredy cat that she would be back in the car, have the car warmed up for me by the time I.
Thank you for sharing this.
Okay.
It's great.
I appreciate being here. Thank you all.